Okay, so now we're in our last unit, which is probability. Sorry if I'm talking quietly. I'm trying to work without my kiddo hearing. So what is probability? It is the likelihood that something will happen. So if you're tossing a coin in the air, you have a 1 out of 2 options of getting heads. We'd say that's 50% or 0.5. So getting tails is the other option, 1 out of 2. We notate it like this with a P, parenthesis, and then whatever our event is. What were all the possible outcomes of flipping a coin? Heads, tails, that was it. So all your possibilities are called your sample space. So heads and tails are our sample space. So your sample space better add up to 100. So 50% was heads, 50% was tails, which is 100%, or 1. So probability is expressed as a number from 0 to 1. We write it like this, but as you get older, you're going to see probabilities written as 0.5 or 1 or 0.75. You rarely see the percent sign. It says, if an event is impossible, the probability is 0. It's never going to happen. If it has to occur, it's 100% or 1. And the sum of all the possible outcomes in a sample space, just like here, is 1 or 100%. Outcomes are random, just like tossing a coin. That probability is random if all possible outcomes are likely. So think of heads and tails. All right. When they say a trial, that's an opportunity, like flipping a coin. An experiment is many trials, flipping a coin 10 times. Events are those opportunities for it to occur. An example, the probability of an event would be getting tails. So an event is an opportunity for it to happen, okay? All right, on the next page, theoretical versus experimental. So when we come up with probabilities of things happening, this is in theory that 50% of the time we'll get heads. If I actually flip a coin 10 times, will I get heads 50% of the time? Maybe, maybe not. That's in theory. So we're going to talk about in theory. If you roll a die, how many possible outcomes would there be? Okay, you could get 1, you could get 2, 3, a 4, a 5, or a 6. So if I roll a die, what's the probability I get a 1? 1 out of 6, 2, 1 out of 6, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Okay, if I add these all up, that's 6 out of 6, or 100%. What would the sample space be if I rolled 2 dice instead of 1? So here in this box, you can pause it. We're going to put in all our possibilities. I'm right here. So I could roll a 1, and then I roll my other dice and get a 1. I could roll a 3, and then I roll my other dice and get a 3. I could roll a 4, and then the other dice get a 5. So put in all the possibilities of what your 2 dice could be. So that's 36, 6 by 6, it's 36 possibilities if you roll 2 die. Okay, so now if you roll 2 die, I should say dice, 2 dice, find the theoretical probability of getting a sum of 7. So that's a sum of 2. That's a sum of 7. That's a sum of 7. Oh, look, diagonally, sums of 7. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's 5 options out of 36. That's your probability. If it asks you for percent, then you'd have to put it. If it doesn't, then you don't have to. But you have to read the directions. Okay, so all this is just an introduction to probability. Most of you have done this in middle school. The next example says, at Hoagie Express, you can choose between white or wheat bread. So you're at the counter, and the girl says you can have white or you can have wheat. Then she says, from that bread, you can choose turkey, ham, or beef. Turkey, ham, or beef. And then from each of those meats, you could pick Swiss, American, or provolone. Swiss, American, provolone. Swiss, American, provolone. So I'm making a tree diagram right now to figure that out. So how many different sandwiches can be made? I'd have one. I could have 2, 3, 4. This is a pain to do this. Another way you could do this is say, I'm right here. You could do 2 breads, 3 meats, and 3 cheeses. Multiply your waste together. Can you say hello to everyone?